I've spent every summer since I can remember in Andalusia, and I can still remember that feeling, driving along the coast to my parents' house. The colours were so saturated, and the sea was this vast, glistening expanse. When I was there, I felt like anything was possible. I think that feeling still influences my work today. Some kind of desire for escapism that creeps into everything I do. When I want to create something, it's like I can't stay away from the studio or get up in the morning super early, and that's all I can think about. The longer form pieces start when I've been somewhere or I've experienced something new. I've kind of gone out of my comfort zone. And I don't know where they initially come from, it's just like something kind of sparks or appears. There's an emotion attached to it, either, I don't know, nostalgia or like anticipation or excitement or sadness. I will write some music associated with that emotion, but still with the visual in mind, so they kind of come together conceptually at the same time. It's like writing something down that's been on your mind, or like a diary entry. Just seeing things come to life in the way that I've imagined them. So if I can do what I've imagined in my head justice by visualising exactly what I've come up with, that's almost like magical, because it's creating something out of nothing that's something that existed in my head before, but then I'm seeing it in real life. So for the past year I've been an ambassador for Melissa, and they invited me to create a large-scale installation at their Galleria in New York. We were talking for a bit with their marketing team, and then I said that I wanted to make physical manifestations of my videos, and I think two of them looked at each other and were like, oh my God, they'd already had that idea. So it just happened in a really organic, lovely way, where it just came out of a conversation.
I think it's a very unique piece, and it's really challenging for us to do something with an artist who is actually bringing her digital work to a physical installation for the first time.
When they'd said I'd be collaborating with SoftLab, who are architects and engineers, then it kind of took a lot of pressure off of me. I'd already envisaged the objects as being quite simple, and they're obviously quite complex to create. So working in collaboration with people who work purely with physical materials was so great.
The process started for us when we saw some of her work. I think it was really easy to envision something that is closely aligning with that, that's also something that's really interesting to us. What we're going to end up adding to this in these notches is a series of diachroic plastic that's going to shoot out, and then the idea with that material, same with these stars, is that it refracts light depending on the angle that you're at. Between that and then the mirrored surfaces and then Natalia's film work in the background, it's going to create a more full, rich composition for the front of the store. And I think that those also feed really nicely into the way that you experience the mirror room or the installation room. I think that something that we're really interested in is the idea of like the computer, not just as a tool, but also maybe as some kind of craft, you know, similar to something like woodworking or hand drawing, needs to be practiced.
when I went to see it today and I've looked at the pictures, I'm like, this is exactly the same as what we put forward. And that's never happened to me in video, so I certainly didn't think it would happen taking a design out of a video and putting it into real space. I didn't think it would be exactly the same as I imagined it.
Digital things can come off as very cold and neutral. That's where I think the materiality of things is very important. And so in this case, we're using 3M optical film and mirrored film. And I think with Natalia's work, which is quite colorful, it's definitely not sterile. So I think it worked very well together. All of her work is geometric, it's all three-dimensional. It happens to be virtual, but we like to occupy also the blurry areas between disciplines rather than, this is what we do. It's quite exciting for us in those areas.
The concept that I have of Paradise is that it's not like an actual real place, and I thought that that would be a really fitting expression of like the digital space. Our recent history has been so haphazard and bizarre. It draws back to that theme of escapism again, because it just means that what new ways can we come up with to leave behind all of the ridiculousness of our realities?